is that you're going to see further devaluation in Treasuries. And remember, that's the foundation for the global financial system. And I think we're going to have a very big devaluation of the dollar. Devaluing the dollar, I'm not sure they want to give up the reserve currency status, but devaluing the dollar, officially devaluing the dollar, is in the cards. Gold and silver as money are the only, if you want to call them currencies, they're the only currencies, only money on the planet that cannot default. They cannot bankrupt. So they will be the last two men standing.
The U.S. is steadily chipping away at the foundation of the dollar's dominance as the world's primary reserve currency by persisting with its reckless tariff policies. This decline is not sudden, but rather a gradual accumulation of policy missteps that undermine global confidence in the dollar's stability, raising doubts about its once unshakable status as a safe haven asset in the international financial system. Financial expert Bill Holter warns that these policies erode trust in the dollar and set the stage for a structural double whammy, the devaluation of the dollar and U.S. Treasuries. He believes this process is already unfolding, as reflected in gold's dramatic rise from $2,000 to nearly $2,950 within a year, an indication that the dollar is weakening rather than gold simply appreciating. As U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China take effect this week, global trade tensions have reignited, creating a stark, split reality. Stock markets across the U.S., Europe, and Asia are tumbling, while safe haven gold surges toward the $3,000 mark. In response to growing geopolitical and debt risks, global central banks purchased 1,044.6 metric tons of gold in 2024, the third consecutive year exceeding 1,000 tons. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar index has plummeted 3.5% in just a week, dropping from 107.564 to 103.81, its lowest level since November 2024, marking one of the steepest weekly declines since 2013. Holter asserts that gold and silver are the only valid forms of money that cannot default or be bankrupted. In a financial system that operates solely on confidence, a collapse in trust in the dollar and treasuries could leave gold and silver as the last two men standing. Let's delve into the video to gain further insights. Before we begin, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell icon to stay updated with the latest content.
From a structural standpoint, we have a potential double whammy coming, and I think that's where it's going to end up, is that you're going to see further devaluation in treasuries. And remember, that's the foundation for the global financial system. And I think we're going to have a very big devaluation of the dollar. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean on the USDX, but you're already seeing it happen with gold and silver. You're seeing it happen. Gold at $29.50 or wherever it is. It was just a year ago. It was 2000. So you're looking at almost a 50% move upward in gold, which gold doesn't do anything. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. It doesn't do anything. It's the measuring stick, the dollar, that's gone down. So I think we've got a double whammy coming, devaluation of both the dollar and treasuries. Gold and silver as money are the only, if you want to call them currencies, they're the only currencies, only money on the planet that cannot default. They cannot bankrupt. So they will be the last two men standing. It's very interesting. I'm kind of going to come at this from the side door. It's kind of interesting to see the talk about revaluing the treasury gold. The only problem with that is, A, is the gold there? B, if it's there, is it encumbered, or does the U.S. still own it? I think the answer to both of those are going to be no. And that obviously breaks confidence, along with hearing, like last night, during the speech that Trump did, he spent 5 minutes talking about ridiculous things that money's being spent on. That breaks confidence. The entire system only runs on confidence. Gold and silver don't run on confidence. They have value because they are. Now, if they revalue gold to the $2,900 that it's at right now, it's not even $800 billion. So let's say they revalue it tenfold to $29,000. That's only $8 trillion. they would effectively have to revalue gold to cover the 37 trillion, which is the on-books debt. That's not talking about Fannie Mae, Ginnie Mae, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. That amounts to over $200 trillion. But to back the current debt, you're talking north of $125,000 an ounce. Now, to implement that, they're going to have to come in on a Friday afternoon and say all trades on LBMA, all trades on COMEX must be settled today. They're going to have to close everything out, because if they don't close everything out and they revalue gold to whatever number it's going to be, it will wipe out any and every short, whether it's one contract or 10,000 contracts. So that will blow up the entire derivative structure unless they have a closeout before the revaluation. And again, it'll happen on a weekend. It'll probably happen on a long weekend, maybe the 4th of July. That would, in my mind, most fitting, if you will. But the problem with that, again, is what does it do to derivatives? Now, does that build, and this is assuming that we have the gold, or the audit shows, the gold's there, it's not encumbered. Now you're talking about a massive, if we went to $125,000, you're talking about, what is that, like an 80-fold? What would it be? No, it'd be, 30, 50, 30-fold, whatever. The point being
38-fold, 40.
Then what happens is, now you've got to wonder, do they try to confiscate or not confiscate? And I can tell you, in the United States, a confiscation is not going to work. People are going to just say, piss off. I'll just sit on my gold. I won't do anything with it. It can't be illegal for me to have it in my house, no matter what they say. Like FDR's thing, you could only have 5 ounces.
Gold has been steadily climbing all year, while silver has spent the past 9 months struggling to gain momentum, leaving long-suffering investors questioning its potential. However, silver ended last week with an impressive 4.42% gain, fueled by safe haven demand and increasing expectations of Federal Reserve rate cuts. According to Bill Holter, silver may finally be ready to break out of gold's shadow and enter a sustained bull market of its own. A decisive move above the critical $32 to $33 resistance zone, which has served as a formidable barrier for the past year, would be a strong signal that silver is poised for a significant rally. Holter is more bullish on silver than any other asset, calling it the most undervalued commodity on the planet. He emphasizes its industrial, technological, and medicinal applications, noting that no other commodity has as many practical uses. He firmly believes that silver will ultimately outperform in purchasing power, making it one of the most crucial assets in the looming financial reset. Now, let's redirect our attention to a video.
You're already seeing that in North America. In my career, I've never seen as much retail selling as we've seen over the last 3 or 4 months. And I think that's a function of prudent people who bought gold and silver are distressed and have run out of bank balances and have been liquidating. I do want to point out that back during COVID-19, as far as I know, no one in North America bought physical silver anywhere under $15 an ounce. Didn't matter. I think the price got down to $10.80 or whatever. You could not buy physical silver under $15. So they could do what they want with the COMEX, with LBMA. It doesn't matter. You couldn't get silver in hand for less than $15. And I think the ratio of 90-1, that is going to be reset in a huge way, because I think silver is more manipulated than gold. It's been locked down because they cannot allow silver to break higher, because that will excite gold. And the whole goal is to keep the price of gold down, because it is the main competitor to U.S. Treasuries. And in a defaulting scenario, what do you want to own? A piece of paper that's issued by an insolvent, bankrupt entity? Or do you want to own something created by God that cannot bankrupt, and the labor, capital, and equipment have already been used to create that coin or bar or what have you? So the competition it's going to end up in the paper, paper fails versus gold, and everything's going to reset. Real estate pricing, equity pricing, interest rates, currencies, commodities versus other commodities. Everything is going to reset. And I mean, I am more bullish on silver than gold or anything else. I think silver's the least expensive or most undervalued asset on the planet. Yes, it does have industrial use. Yes, it has technological use. It has medicinal uses. I mean, the amount of uses for silver is used for more things than any other commodity on the planet. And I believe silver is going to come into the system rather than go out of the system from a monetary standpoint. It would not surprise me to see China. I mean, China historically has been a silver country. It would not surprise me to see China say, okay, we're revaluing our gold and we're adding silver to that basket of backing. And by the way, the pricing at 90-1 is ridiculous. It should be 45-1 or 30-1 or whatever. But I think they're going to revalue silver. Silver's going to win the race of purchasing power.
Fiat currencies rely entirely on the full faith and credit of the governments that issue them. In contrast, gold has stood the test of time as the world's oldest and most reliable medium of exchange. Central banks and governments acknowledge gold's critical financial role by holding it as a reserve asset, effectively classifying it as a currency. In recent years, nations have significantly increased their gold reserves, becoming consistent net buyers. Since 1999, gold's long-term bull market has signaled the steady erosion of the dollar's purchasing power and all other fiat currencies. Could we see a return to some form of gold-backed monetary system shortly? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this content helpful, give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to stay updated. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us.